We'll start with the prayers. Om Bhadram Karane Shruniyama Devaha Bhadram Pashe Makshabhiryajatraha Sthirairangai Sushtubhagam Sastanovihi Vyasema Devahitan Yadayuho Swasti na Indro Vrittashavaha Swasti na Pusha Vishvaveda Swasti na Stanishtanerihi Swasti no Brihaspatirdadato. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. We are studying Mandukya Upanishad, the Shankara Bhashyam. We are doing the 6th verse today. It's a very important verse because the entire 3rd chapter of this Upanishad, the Kārikās, there are 48 Kārikās in the 3rd chapter. This entire 3rd chapter is based on this 6th mantra. So it's extremely important to understand. It is a technical verse which talks about creation. So try to understand it the way the Upanishad is trying to teach us what this world is. Normally, when we don't come to the Upanishad, we don't have much idea about this world. The Upanishad vision about the world is completely totally different. Especially Mandukya Upanishad when you study, and the later chapters, especially 4th chapter, 3rd chapter, the vision of this universe as per the Upanishad is dramatically different. As we study further and further, slowly your intellect will start understanding the Vedic vision. Verse number, Karika number 1 to 5 explained the mantras of the Upanishad of chapter 1 from verse number, mantra number 1 to 5. The 6th verse, 7th verse, 8th verse, and 9th verse. 4 verses are dealing with one mantra of chapter 1 or the Upanishadic mantra. The sixth verse is being discussed in 4 Kārikās. So Gaudapada has written 4 Kārikās and Shankaracharya has written commentary on those 4 verses. Let's try and understand this verse, and we'll see where we stopped last week. This is where we stopped last week. I wanted to give you the gist of this shloka. Before going to the gist of the shloka, I will go back and see the shloka itself. This shloka says that origination of the world is nothing but origination of name and form. Okay, this is the first lesson we learn from this mantra. The next one it says is, the world of names and forms are potentially existent in prana. Here prana means Maya Sahitam Ishwara. It does not mean the breath which we inhale and exhale. Here it is a special meaning. So this world exists in Ishwara in a potential form. Ishwara is the creator or the projector of this universe. That is the next step. So many things are hidden in this mantra. This Ishwara is Chaitanya Pradhanam. And he is the one who creates the Chaitanya Jivas. Nowhere else do we see the split up of Ishwara and Maya. What is Maya responsible? What is Ishwara responsible? Ishwara is the one who holds this Maya. This Maya is, according to this Upanishad, according to Gaudapada Acharya, he's splitting the Ishvara into two parts. He says the material universe is created. That means the Upadana Karanam is created by the Maya Shakti. This material Prakriti keeps on changing. One body goes, another body comes. And one body goes, another body comes. So Maya is the factory for the production of bodies. What is Ishvara's role in this? Ishvara's role is whenever there is a gross body being produced, there is a subtle body also in that gross body. In that subtle body, the Ishvara gives a reflection of itself, of himself, and then makes this Jiva alive. See how deep is this Karika? Get a where will you get this type of understanding of this creation? Okay, so that is the second point in this mantra. The third point, which is the most important point, is that this world of matter, which consists of Maya Shakti, does not have an independent existence without the consciousness. So you have to understand all these factors when you understand this Karika. Therefore, for this Karika, there are 42 slides. It's a very elaborate expansion of Shankaracharya on this Karika. Whenever a jnani sleeps or a ajnani sleeps, jnani's vision is I am with Ishwara. That is what you and I should have after studying the Upanishad. Before Upanishad, you will say, I had a good rest. The body was resting. I don't know anything in the sleep state. It was very dark. Tamo guna was predominant. My mind had a good rest and it was joyful. That's all. That is a Ajnani's vision of sleep state. What is the Jnani's vision of sleep state? What you should think whenever you go to bed every day after we study the Upanishad, you should say, I am going to be with Ishvara in the next 8 hours. Inwardly, you don't have to tell anybody else. You just say, I am going to be with Ishvara. And who is Ishvara? Ishvara is the creator of this universe in the waking state. See how beautifully Shankaracharya goes slowly one by one. Towards the end of this commentary, this sixth mantra, you will get the full creation as what Upanishad wants us to know about creation. Now, there are three schools of thought which Mandukya Upanishad analyzes. In the fourth chapter, there are six schools. The fourth chapter is mentioned in a very concise form here. The first school says Satkaryavada. Satkaryavada was a school which existed during Shankaracharya's time. And that Satkaryavada is called as Sankhya philosophy. Vedanta and Sankhya, they are very similar, but there are differences also. As you study further and further, you will get all the philosophers' ideas and how each philosopher looks at the creation. So there are three schools. One is Satkaryavada, another is Asatkaryavada. Asat means the Buddhism, the people who don't believe in the Vedas, they have their own theory about this creation. Then there is a third Vada, which is called as Mithya Karyavada. Mithya means what? which is a Vedantic Advaitin's creation. Okay, so broadly speaking, there are three schools of philosophy. Advaitin's philosophy is called as Brahma Satyam Jagan Mithya. That means consciousness is Satyam, world which I experience is an appearance which appears in consciousness and disappears into consciousness. This is Advaitin's view. This is the correct view which we should also develop. What will I get if I develop this vision? You will get moksha. You will get freedom, which is promised by the Veda. Freedom from what? Freedom from future birth and death. From samsara. In short, it is called as samsara. We have covered all this. I'm just running through it so that you can get the link of today's talk with last week's talk. Now, Asatkaryavada is negated by Karyavada. In this mantra, Asatkaryavada is negated by Satkaryavada. What is Asatkaryavada says? Asatkaryavada says non-existent product alone is created. That means there is no product in, there is no world, there is no jiva in this world. Now, non-existent jiva, non-existent sun, the non-existent earth is created. Okay, this is Asat Karyavad. What is Satkaryavada? How does he negate? He says, suppose you say that only non-origination, the non-existent product is being created. You tell me how coconut tree is not produced out of a mango seed. How you get human children only from human beings, not from monkeys. How you get sugar from sugar cane. So this is the way the Satkaryavada says there is a seed condition and there is a product condition, cause effect. Sugar is the cause of sugar cane. Mango seed is the cause of mango tree. Similarly, Brahman is the cause of this whole creation. That is the way the Satkaryavada explains creation. Okay, so the origination, now I'll come to the gist of the sloka. This is what we covered before. Now we are going to start today's talk from here onwards. Origination means what? Creation is only for those products which are potentially existent. Jiva, Jagat, and Ishwara, these three are existing potentially in a seed condition in something called as Maya Sahitam Brahma. And it is that seed condition is what is called as the causal body, the causal pancha. This seed condition is always in unmanifest condition. Our sense organs cannot see this. For example, Karana Avastha is the waker and dream is the product. Where is the dream? Your dream is in your Karana Avastha. In the waker only the dream is there. And in the waker only the dream gets resolved. Similarly, there is an Ishwara in whom the whole creation exists in potential condition in the sleep state. And from that Ishwara only, the whole universe is projected for all the jivas in the world. So what is the role of Ishwara? See, in this mantra, many of you who do not believe in Ishwara, existence of God, all that will be clarified in this mantra. If you follow the philosophy in which the Veda is trying to describe creation, everyone who listens to this methodology of creation will admit the existence of God or Ishwara in some form. We don't know what form it is. You can call it Jesus, you can call it Allah, you can call it Shiva, you can call it Vishnu, you can call it Devi, you can call it Hanuman, you can call it any, your name is different. But there is something that originator, that projector, that creator is being described beautifully in the sixth mantra. Try to understand this, and the notes of this mantra are very good. So study the notes. Suppose you understand the talk and then you want to revise it again, because this mantra is important for you to understand many, many concepts which will be discussed in the next few verses of chapter 1 and also chapter 3. There are two words that are used. One is satham. Satham, in this verse, in this Karika, there is a word called satham. Satham negates asat karyava. That means it negates the production of this world from nothing. That means non-existent world is coming out. Now, world which was existing in Brahman without being different from Brahman get manifested like dream manifests for the Veka. That means we are talking about the waking world. What is Sankhya's philosophy? How does it differ from Vedanta? Very important uh, differences between the two. Try to understand, because we are going to see this detailed version in the third chapter. This is only a very just a synopsis of the third chapter, which Gaudapada feels it's important for the seeker to know at this stage. All what Gaudapada is teaching us in 6, 7, 8, 9 will help us to understand the seventh mantra of Mandukya Upanishad. These are all building up. Try to understand how the world is created. Why do we say there is consciousness? All that is being discussed. So third chapter, okay, Sankhya and Vedanta. Sankhya says, world is Satyam. The world which we experience is Satyam. Satyam means what? It is independently exist. What is Vedantin's view? Vedantin's view is world is Mithya. What is the difference between the two? Sankhya says world has its own existence, independent existence. In your mind, you should see which one do I accept. The world has independent existence or the world has got borrowed existence. As a junior seeker, we will all think that that we will all try to accept the Sankhya as a junior seeker. But as we study the Mandukya Upanishad, you will be forced to accept the Vedantin's view. For example, you and I think the world exists by itself. Why should I be there to experience? Whether I am there or not, the world is always there. That is all our wrong notion. It is a notion which needs correction, but notion can be corrected only by logic. Mandukya Upanishad is one of the best Upanishads for logical analysis. Nowhere else in all the 9 Upanishads you get such a beautiful analysis of logic oriented reasoning together with the Shruti. You see, the Shruti mantra is there, the Karika mantra is there, and then we will have to give reasoning so that we accept what the Upanishad says. Sankhya's theory is world is independent. That means Prakriti is independent. Purusha is independent. Purusha in Sankhya means consciousness. Therefore, there is Dvaita. Purusha is one, Prakriti is another. This is called as Sat Karyavada. What does Vedanta says? Vedanta says there is no world without consciousness. Consciousness and the world are two sides of one coin. Can a coin exist without the other side? No. Consciousness is there, which is a higher plane, and then the world is there at the lower plane. Like the waker is there, and the dream world is there. Waker is independent, dream world is independent. What is the relationship between waker and the waking world? Waker is Satyam, waking world, a dream world is Mithya. Similarly, Brahman is Satyam, Turiyam is Satyam, the waking world is Mithya. This is the vision which we have to develop. All of us can develop it. It's nothing very great. It is nothing very complicated. If you just follow the simple arguments of Shankaracharya, then you will also get this vision and you will get moksha, which is a very, very high thing, which is a great achievement in life. So study of Mandukya Upanishad, whatever time you're spending, is really worthwhile for your own self. You may earn money for the others and keep it in the bank. Those things are there. You may help others and all that. But for yourself, what are you doing? You study the Upanishad and you try to understand who you are. Ajnanam is not there for a Vedanta. That means he has clear knowledge about this consciousness, and on this consciousness, the world gets superimposed, the waking world gets superimposed, exactly like the dream world gets superimposed on the waker. Throughout Mandukya Upanishad, Gaudapada and Shankaracharya use the dream example again and again and again and again. They ask you to check what is happening in your dream, what is happening in waking, what is happening in your sleep, what is happening in your waking. Your intellect has to keep looking at your own experiences of dream, sleep, and waking, and then you will be ready to understand what is Turiya. Okay. Ishwara has got two portions, which I explained to you earlier. One is called in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita and in Mandukya Upanishad. The description of Ishwara is given as Upadana Karanam. That means there is a lower order of reality. Two realities are there for Ishwara. One is Para Prakriti, another is Apara Prakriti. For those who have done Mandukya Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita 7th chapter, this portion will be very easy. What is meaning of Para Prakriti? Para Prakriti means higher order of reality. It is the Chaitana Amsha. That means the consciousness portion of Ishvara is the higher order of reality. It is the intelligent cause. It is like the carpenter. It is like the goldsmith. Intelligent cause, because it is consciousness. See, in you, for example, there is matter which consists of all the bodily parts, the lungs, the stomach, the brain, the hands, the legs. There is one portion is called as matter. This matter is produced by Maya Shakti. And this matter is called as Apara Prakriti. But then you are aware of the world. That awareness principle, I am aware of the world. I am aware of my thoughts. I am aware of my emotions. That awareness is called as Para Prakriti. So that awareness is something called as reflected consciousness. So throughout our waking state, there is a reflected consciousness. In that reflected consciousness, we experience time. We experience our body. We experience the world outside. The apara prakriti consists of chetana amsha. See, all these are all Sanskrit words. But when I explain to you, they will become very easy to understand. Achetana means matter. It is inert matter, which consists of the Panchabhutas. We have studied Tattvabodha, gross elements, subtle elements. Those are inert by nature. They are the material cause of the body and the Panch. The world consists of material nature made up of the Panchabhutas, gross and subtle. The body also consists of the gross and subtle bodies. The Chit Amsha is the original consciousness, which is Brahman, which is Turiyam, which we are going to study in the seventh mantra. Now, that Chit exists independently. It forms a reflection called as Chit Abhasa in all the three Sharirams, the gross body, subtle body, and the causal body. The reflection of that consciousness is there. Then only the jiva says, yes, I am aware of my sleep state, I am aware of my dream state, I am aware of the waking state. This is the reason why we say that we are sentient human beings. Sentient means I am awareful. See, I'm going through this portion very, very slowly so that you can all understand beautifully this creation which comes out in the sixth month. This Chida, but this is the way the Upanishad wants us to say. Think about the creation. See how this is a very different method. This is what is described in the Tattva Bodha. Same thing in a slightly higher form is being explained in this verse. So this Chidabhasa, whenever you say Chit Abhasa, means reflected consciousness. So right now, are you reflected consciousness with the body and mind? Yes. And with the body and mind, we are reflected consciousness along with the material body. But this reflected consciousness depends on that pure consciousness which we are in our sleep state. We are away from this world, and for you and me, we may not believe all whatever this Upanishad is saying initially. But as you go by, you will accept everything which the Upanishad says. Because there's a tremendous amount of logic which is in. With the Stula Shariram, I am called Vishwa. All of us. You are called Vishwa. Whenever you experience the external world, you may be given Jacqueline, you may be given names of, Ganesh or whatever name you have been given. But your real name from the Shastric point of view is, I am the Waker. With the Sukshma Shariram, I am called Taijasa, the Dreamer. With the causal body, which is the sleep state, I am called as Prajna. So this Chaitanya Amsha, consciousness, generates the three sentient beings, waker, dreamer, sleeper. The Maya Amsha generates the three bodies, gross body, subtle body, causal. In this Karika, Gaudapada uses prana for Maya Pradhana Ishwara. That means Ishwara with the Maya Shakti is this whole creation. In Chandogya Upanishad, I have dealt with this mantra many a times. It's a very important mantra. It explained to us how a jiva is like a bird. The bird during the daytime it flies all around the world, but in the night time it comes and rests in the nest. Similarly, the jiva also runs around the whole universe. You may think about so many things during the waking state. I want to do this, I want to achieve that, I want to, do an MBA, I want to study, I want to earn money, all that you think about this world, about the waking world. But then what happens to you in the sleep state? You are with prana. That prana means what? Ishvara. That Ishvara or prana here means Maya Shakti. Maya Shakti is called as vital force. Okay. Why is it called vital force? Because that is the cause which projects the dream state, it projects the waking state. Prana bandhanam hi somya manaha. If you are caught up in this world because of the projection of the mind, you are in bondage. Suppose you know how to get out of this Maya by the knowledge of Atma, by the knowledge of Turiyam, you will be free. See, many people want to get out of this Maya, but how to get out of it? Study the Upanishad. Maya sarvam janayati. This comes in the Kārika itself. Entire universe is achetana jagat, is generated, is projected, it is governed, it is ruled by Maya Shakti, including our body. The body exists for a certain amount of time, but who controls this body's existence? It is Maya Shakti of Ishwara. Purusha, the Chaitanya Pradhana Ishvara, is responsible for the experiences of the Jiva who dwells in this body. So, Ishvara with the Parashakti, with the Chaitanya Shakti, is responsible for the experiences because of the reflected consciousness. Without the reflected consciousness, there is no experience possible. The Maya portion of Ishvara is responsible for the body, the matter body. This, how does that Ishvara's consciousness comes into this body? Exactly like the sun rays. The rays of the sun, they illumine the world every day for us. This example is given in Prashno Upanishad. In Prashno Upanishad, which also belongs to Atharvana Veda, the example Mundaka also belongs to Atharvana Veda. So the sun's rays, they illumine the entire universe. Similarly, the ray of that consciousness falls in our mind, and that is the waker for us. Every day you wake up in the morning, you and I don't know this, but the Upanishad tells us that there is some waking principle, which is the Chaitana Amsha, which wakes all of us up. So, Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna are the names of Chid Abhasa in the three Shariram. Okay, so this is how we have to understand. Are there any examples? Are there any quotations which support this idea which is given so far in the sixth mantra of the Karika? Shankaracharya says, yes. I will give you some examples from Bhagavad Gita. Bhumi apo tano vayuho kham mano buddhirevacha ahamkari iti yamme Bhinna prakriti rashtada. Here the Lord says the eightfold prakriti is my nature, Ishwara's nature. Same thing now in the sixth mantra is also saying. Matter is what? Upadana karanam of Maya Shakti of Ishwara. अपरे मति पस्मन्यां प्रकृतिं विद्धि मे परां जीवभूतं महाभाहो ययेदं धार्यते जगत्. This lower prakriti of the world which consists of the prapancha is different from the higher prakriti. The higher prakriti is the one that is the subtle body with the reflection of the Maya, with the reflection of consciousness, is holding up this gross world and gross body. See how beautifully the same idea is being discussed in Upanishad and Bhagavad Gita. Etat yonini bhutani sarvani tyupadharaya aham kritsnasya jagatah prabhava pralayastatha. These two prakritis, that means the lower para prakriti and apara prakriti, are the two wombs, are the womb of all the beings. There is no being, there is no person who does not have this para prakriti and apara prakriti, who does not have the matter principle and the consciousness principle. And who is the holder of this? Who is the governor of this? Ishwara. I am the source of this two wombs in all the jivas. And I am the dissolution ground of the whole universe. Very important verse of the Bhagavad Gita. Same thing I'm trying to tell you that in the sleep state, the whole universe resolves into Ishvara. This is the pramana. This is the proof. See, so beautifully when you study the Upanishad, you can see what Bhagavad Gita says and what Upanishadic mantras are saying. The next commentary of Shankaracharya, he is going slightly into the technical side now. He says, whatever is existence potentially is with borrowed existence and is not separate from the adhishtanam. That means what? The entire universe is borrowing existence principle from that Ishvara or Brahman. Brahman's quality or feature is what? Existence, consciousness, happiness. World does not have happiness, it borrows happiness from the Brahman or Ishvara. That is what he's saying in this commentary here. What he says is that the waker, dreamer, and sleeper are just Mithya. They are appearances, they are name and form, but they exist where? They are existing in the substratum. The holder of that womb is the Maya Shakti and Ishwara. Bhokta means enjoyer, and the Bhogyam. What is in some Upanishads, they define the universe as Bhokta and Bhogyam. In Prashna Upanishad, it's very clearly mentioned, and also in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Universe is what? How would you define universe? Universe is nothing but there is a Bhokta. Bhokta means what? There is a Jiva. A Jiva who enjoys the world. Without the Jiva, enjoyer, there cannot be the world. World is meaningless. Similarly, if the world is not there, only Jiva is there, again the Jiva is meaningless because what will he do? World is already potentially existing in Ishwara. All the jivas, they are nothing but bundles of sanchita karma. See, the jiva lives as long as the sanchita karma is there for the jiva. So karma is the basis on which Ishwara gives a suitable body, a suitable sthula shariram and sukshma shariram is given to each jiva. Why some jivas are enjoying, why some jivas are suffering? The reason is sanchita karma, which comes out as prarabdha karma in this body, in this world. This all, see, the Svena Vidyamanam. Svena is another word by which Shankaracharya or the Satkaryavada tries to negate Asatkarya. Okay, these two words you should remember: Svena and before I told you there is another word which is uh, Swena, and I'll go to the verse itself. Okay, I'll explain to you later. So Swena is another word which Shankaracharya uses to explain to us uh, the difference between Satkaryavada and Asatkaryavada. So Bhokta and Bhogyam are non-separate from Brahman. Okay. So suppose you take the example of rope snake. The rope snake, which is projected on the rope, is potentially existent on the rope and in rope ignorance. Rope ignorance is the cause of rope snake. So without this ignorance of the rope, there is never a rope snake. So projected rope snake has got what? Borrowed existence from the rope. Try to understand this because this is slightly subtle. Suppose you watch a rope and mistake it to be a snake. Why do you mistake it to be a snake? What is the adhishtanam? The rope. Without the rope, you cannot have the rope snake. Similarly, that rope snake is example of Mithya. This whole universe, if you say is Mithya, there has to be a substratum for that Mithya, which is Brahman or consciousness. Borrowed existence is there in the rope snake. Before the projection, the rope snake was potentially there where in the rope ignorance. Okay. Now, suppose you take this existence and the world. What Satkaryavada is saying is that world is potentially there, but the world is separate and Chaitanyam is separate. Chaitanya means Purusha. World means Prakriti. Try to understand this, okay? What is the difference between Sankhya and Vedantin? Vedantin says, if you add the word with borrowed existence, the world exists, then it becomes Vedanta. Suppose you say the world exists by itself, it becomes Sankhya. World with the borrowed existence from that consciousness is Mithya. It is like the rope snake has got the borrowed existence from the rope. The rope snake is not independently existing and the rope is not independently existing. They cannot, if it is independently existing, it is Sankhya, Satkaryavada. Okay. So the two Vadas are, it is potentially existing with the borrowed existence and it is independently existing That is Sankhya. If you've not understood this portion, again you can ask me, I'll explain. Svena is a significant word in Shankaracharya's commentary. It differentiates the Mithya Karyavada and Sat Karyavada. So these are Shankaracharya's ingenious words. Svena Adhishtanam Vidyamananam. So Satam is one word. Svena. I was searching for this word Satam. So Satam is there in the Moolam. It negates the Asat Karyavada. Svena is there in the Bhashyam of Shankaracharya. It negates the Sat Karyavada. See, there are three schools. The Sat Karyavada negates the Asat Karyavada. The Mithya Karyavada, which is Advaitin, negates the Sat Karya. Okay? So this is how you have to understand this portion. Now, this is a revision portion. Whatever I have not covered, I will explain to you. Otherwise, we will run through the revision portion. So 6 to 9 Kārikās, 4 Kārikās are commentary on the 6th mantra. The 6th mantra is this mantra. Okay. The 6th mantra is third pada, which is the Ishwara pada, the Karana pada, Prajna pada, the sleep state. From this Ishwara, which is Ishwara is the Karan. Ishwara's Karanam, two types of Karanam. Nimitta Karanam, Upadana Karanam. Nimitta Karanam is the intelligent cause. Intelligent cause is responsible for the awareness, reflected consciousness. Upadana Karanam is responsible for the Panchabhutas and for the production of the body. It is like the factory. That is the Maya Shakti. Maya Shakti means a factory producing bodies for the Jiva. So the three creation theories are Satkarya, Asatkarya, Mithyakarya. This whole thing will come again and again in this whole Mandukya Upanishad. Satkarya, Asatkarya, Mithyakarya. And then they will add up another school which is called as the Bauddha school, Buddhism. The Buddhist school we are going to analyze very deeply in the 4th chapter. Very, very deeply the Buddhist school we are going to analyze because they are very, very near. Buddhism and Vedantin are very close, much more closer than Sankhya. Okay. So Sankhya is, we have said there is no coconut tree from a mango seed. All that we have seen. So all jivas are potentially existing in unmanifest condition. In the sleep state, who are you? I am still the jiva, but I am in a seed state. Suppose we add a clause to the Satkaryavada, a product is potentially existent, which both of us agree. The pot exists in clay, world exists in Brahman, both of us, world exists in Ishwara, both of us we accept. But then what does the Satkaryavada says? What is also independently existing, clay is also independently existing. What does the Vedantin say? What borrows existence from clay, what does not have independent existence. So creation is what? It is seemingly existent. What is really seemingly existent can also be called as what? Really non-existent. So really non-existent is what is called as Mithya. Vedantin coins a word for seemingly existing dream as Mithya. Seemingly existing waking state as Mithya. Seemingly existing rope snake as Mithya. Seemingly existing chain, ring, bangle as Mithya. So the seemingly existent is really not gone. It's a very, very big discovery of the rishis. The world which we are experiencing, this will be taught in the 4th chapter. You see, the 4th chapter is a beautiful chapter. What I'm saying now will be explained later. How the world is really not born, but it is unreally born exactly like the dream. For example, when somebody tells you this girl is seemingly beautiful, it means it looks like a compliment, but actually it means not a compliment. She is ugly. Similarly, in the economic world, we say developing country. Developing country means what? Really underdeveloped. To boost our ego and our pride, we say seemingly developed. Seemingly means what? Developing country. Similarly, we say it is a seeming creation. We say another word which we use, Vedantin uses, Vyavaharika Satyam. Vyavaharika Satyam is another word for Mithya Satyam. Another word for no real creation. Real creation means Paramarthika. Mithya Karyavada is also called as Ajati Karyavada. Why it is called Ajati? Ajati means non-origination. This will be explained later. But Ajati Vada means world is a manifestation, unmanifestation. There is no creation involved. At the final stage, this is what is the discovery in Mandukya Upanishad. Okay, so Shankaracharya again goes back to the three. I mean, this is the verse which we have already finished. So I will jump. Uh, all this I have discussed. Satam Vidyamanam means it is seemingly there. Uh, so potential and potential existence, and which is also called as seeming existence. Okay, these are all the revision portions. Now, uh, the Shankaracharya, he gives an example of uh, Asat Karyavada. He gives an example of Asat means what? The example he's giving is, he says, suppose you say the son of one who never gave birth to a son, meaning a non-existing thing is never neither born really or not seemingly. See, Mandukya Upanishad has got a verse in the third chapter, 28th verse. It says that the unreal cannot be born either really or through delusion. And it gives the example there. The son of a barren woman is neither born de facto, seemingly, neither through delusion. For example, there is a lady who cannot give birth to a child. Now you are talking about that is what is called as Vandya Putraha. So Vandya Putraha is an example of a son which is not possible. Non-existent son is of a barren woman. Asatkari, that is what is Asatkarya. So world, if it is non-existent, it will always it will remain non-existent. It cannot come out in any form. Only when the world is potentially existent, it can come out. Like the potential dream can come out, potential waking state can come out, but non-existent waking, non-existent dream can never come. So world is not a sat category. World is not a sat category. Why it is not sat category? Why do we say world is not satyam? Because world disappears in the sleep state. But what remains in the sleep state? Consciousness remains. So Advaitin says consciousness is satyam. What about the world? World is mithya. Why the world is not asat category? World is not asat category, means it is not non-existence. If it is non-existence, I will never be able to experience it, but I'm experiencing the world. Therefore, we have coined a word Mithya. Now, can you understand what is the word of what is Mithya? Mithya means neither it is Satyam, neither it is Asatyam, it is Mithya. Mithya means seemingly available for experience, whether it is dream or whether it is waking, both of them are seemingly appearing and disappearing. Okay, see how deep our discussions are going. The next Karika, Shankaracharya, is even more deeper. See, he has got a methodology. He starts in a very simple form. But as you study the Karika and basically the commentary, as you study more and more, you go deeper and deeper in understanding. That is why Vedanta clearly says moksha is understanding the truth. There is nothing else involved. There is pure jnanam. That is why it is jnana yoga. It is not karma yoga. Karma yoga means you have to do action. You have to go for you have to do japa. You have to do so many things. But those are all for the preparation of the mind. Once your mind is prepared, you come with this karika. You come with the knowledge, and then you boldly can claim aham brahman, brahma satyam jaganmit. Now here in this, what Shankaracharya says is that the birth or creation is possible and it has got nothing to do with Brahman. Brahman is the ultimate reality. Now, Brahman will become non-existence if this world was not available for experience. I'll explain to you. There are slides after this. Here it is what Shankaracharya is saying. He says that rope snake is helping us to discover rope. Similarly, the world, which is a mithya vastu, helps us to discover the satyam adhishtanam. Okay? If world is non-existent and it is not originating, Brahman cannot be to be karanam of the non-existent universe. That is what is the Purvapakshi. What is the connection between Brahman and universe? If you ask, then we will say there is no connection between consciousness and the universe. Brahman can, if this is the Purvapakshi. He says that, you are saying universe is separate, independently, cannot be existing. Now, what he says is, Shankaracharya says, to defeat this Purvapakshi, he says, if the world is Satyam or it is not existent, if suppose you take the world is Satyam and the Brahman is a Satyam, then there will be problems because there cannot be two Satyams. If the world is non-existent is what this paragraph is about. If the world is non-existent, you can never reveal the pure consciousness. The Shastra is there to reveal Brahman as the Jagat Karana. Means the whole world. That is why in Taittiriya Upanishad we have this beautiful mantra. Yena jata yatova imani bhutani jayante yena jatani jivanti, that from which the beings are born, that from in which the beings are existing, they continue to exist, and when they depart, they enter into that Brahman. You should never forget this mantra of Taittiriya Upanishad. I have finished Taittiriya Upanishad yesterday for the Saturday classes. I'm going to start the Katha Upanishad next week. If you are interested, you join the next Saturday class. new Upanishad is going to start, Katho Upanishad. Okay, so in this mantra, in Kaivalya Upanishad also the same thought process is there. Mayeva Sakalam, all these thought processes are explained are explaining what? They're explaining the existence of some substratum from which this whole world is coming. Mayeva Sakalam Jatam, Mayi Sarvam Pratishtitam. That also talks about Brahman as the Adhisthana Karanam. It is the Tatastha Lakshanam. Tatastha Lakshanam means it is an indirect way of revealing the truth. If the world was non-existent, then we will never know God. We will never know the truth of this of the Creator. So Brahman can't be directly revealed. That is what is said in the Yatho Vacho Nivartante. That mantra I will show it to you in the next slide. Brahman can't be indirectly revealed also. Therefore, how do we reveal it? We say Brahman is Jagat Karanam. It is the cause of this universe. Suppose the universe was not existent, you cannot define Brahman as the Jagat Karanam. That is what Shankaracharya is trying to tell the Purva Paksha. Okay, this is the verse, Yatho Vacho Nivartante. That means the words cannot reach Brahman, mind cannot reach Brahman. Shankaracharya's ingenious argument for the negation of Asattika. Asatkaryavada is saying what? World is non-existent. The new world is always created. And that world is Shanikam. Okay, those things will come in the fourth chapter. Okay, if non-existing things of the world originate, then what will happen? Then you can have anything from coconut tree, you can have a mango tree. That's what is the argument here. Okay, Brahman is Sarva Pramana Agocharam. It cannot be revealed by any other means except by the means of a Mithya word. Brahman can be revealed, God can be revealed only when the world is Mithya. I mean, Shankaracharya gives a very crude example. He says you cannot have, say, suddenly there are 100 elephants in your house. Why? You don't have a pramanam to prove. Your eyes are not seeing it. There is no, you cannot infer that. So you cannot say that that means a non-existent thing suddenly appears. That is not possible. That is what he is saying in this particular uh, commentary. Rope associated with ignorance is the cause of snake. Similarly, word associated with the ignorance of Brahman is the cause of the world. I'll repeat. Rope snake associated with the ignorance of rope is the cause of rope snake. Word associated with the ignorance of Brahman is the cause of the world. Ignorance can't exist by itself. Ignorance has to have a holder. That holder is the jiva. Existence is borrowed from the adhishtanam, the rope. Okay. So Sankhya says it accepts a potential existence without the borrowed consciousness from the adhishtanam or the existence. Whereas Vedanta says there is a provider of consciousness and existence to the world, and that provider is Ishwara. Okay, it's the same message Shankaracharya is trying to drive that point to us. Another way to express this is Prakriti, that means the world, does it have Swatantra Satta or Paratantra Satta? This is another form of presenting the same whatever we have discussed. Sankhya says it has Swatantra Satta. Swatantra Satta means what? independent existence. Therefore, it is Dvaita. Now, if there is an independent world all the time, then you cannot get moksha. Because moksha means what? Freedom from the world, freedom from the cognition that there exists a real. So, the proof of sense organs is not the real proof, which is what Sankhya is having a problem. Vedanta says Paratantra Sattha is the truth. Paratantra means what? This is the Advaitins. The Dvaitin is world is existent, consciousness is also existent. When both are there, there is always Dvaita. What Advaitin says, world is dependent on consciousness. If you know this truth, you can get moksha. Because without consciousness, there is no world. So Prakriti borrows existence from where? From consciousness. This is called as Vedic logic. See, when you study the Upanishad, you have to use Vedic logic, not the common logic. Common logic will be the scientific knowledge. I'm seeing the world, therefore world exists. But what is Vedic logic saying? You're seeing the world, therefore world doesn't exist because it is Mithya. Seeing means Mithya. Experiencing means Mithya. It involves a mind. Without mind, there is no world. Okay. So that is the explanation here in this. The next analysis of Shankaracharya in the 103rd commentary. I mean, these are all paragraphs. There are 400 such paragraphs in Mandukya Upanishad. So without a real adhishtanam, there cannot be a mithya vastu. Shankaracharya gives examples from Upanishads. And we'll see the mantras, then you will understand that. See, what he's saying in this is that there is a substratum which is always required for a mithya vastu. That is the essence of this portion here. And he quotes Brihadaneka Upanishad and Mundaka Upanishad to prove this. To prove what? That there is a substratum which is required. For example, mirage. For a mirage, that you require a substratum that is sand. For a rope snake, you need a substratum which is rope. For the world which is same mithya, you require a substratum, and that substratum is Ishwara. Okay, these are all very, very fine arguments which are given to prove that the world is mithya. Pranabandhanam hi somya manaha. We have seen this mantra before, which shows the adhisthana. Now, Sankhya and Yoga. Yoga means there is a school called Yoga philosophy. Yoga, what we practice is different. That we accept also. Vedanta accepts the yoga practices. Vedanta does not accept the yoga philosophy, which is a Dvaita philosophy. Now, they are very similar to Sankhya. World is separate from Ishwara. Ishwara is the Nimitta Karanam. It's Dvaitam. World is non-separate from Ishwara. That means Ishwara and the world is the same coin. That is why in chapter 11 of Bhagavad Gita, the Lord says the whole world is me. Same thing in Upanishad is said. I am the substratum of the entire universe. Now you can understand the Bhagavad Gita much better because you understand the Upanishad. Upanishad is the source of Gita. World depends on consciousness. World depends on existence principle, which is from Ishwara. Mundaka Upanishad, which I quoted, which Shankaracharya has quoted, I have given you the mantra here. This Mundaka Upanishad says, Brahmai Vedam Amritam Purastat, Brahma Paschat, Brahma dakshinataha uttarena. Wherever you see, whatever you see is nothing but Brahma. Very, very beautiful. We have studied Mandukya Upanishad, but when you see that mantra in this context of Mandukya Upanishad, suddenly you remember what a beautiful mantra it was. Why? Because Brahman is Adhishtanam for the entire universe. Adhishtanam means you can never see it through your eyes. It is not perceptibly possible. Okay, so there is no universe separate from Ishwara. Brihadanayaka Upanishad, this is the mantra which is quoted. And to prove that Atma is the Karana Paramatma. The whole world has got Ishvara as the Adhishtanam. That is what is said in the Brihadanayaka Upanishad. Dream world cannot exist without Veka. Similarly, the waking world cannot exist without pure Atma. Pure Atma means what? My own nature without the world which I am in my sleep state. Can you now try to see how that sleep state existence of mine is the real nature of my nature, but not the waking state or the dream state of experiences. By knowledge, we come to know that the sleep state, I am always with Ishvara. Swapna Prapancha is not separate from the Waker. The Jagrat Prapancha is not separate from Ishvara. The whole sixth mantra is talking about Ishvara. If you want to understand what is the function of God in this universe, study this mantra, Karika 6 of the Upanishad, and you will be able to understand the depth of the knowledge of Ishvara. Okay. Now, I will stop here today. From this 104, I will start next week. This slide 523, I will start next week. And whatever we have studied today, in case you have not clearly understood, what you should do is you should try to read the notes and you will be able to slowly follow. But don't worry, these are all ideas which will come again and again. We are only in the sixth mantra, right? And this commentary of Gaudapada Charya is amazing. It's really, really amazing. And Shankaracharya's, again, commentary on Gaudapada Charya's Karika will give us the ultimate truth which we are seeking. But it requires patience and conviction that you will be knowledgeable through this Vedic process. Okay, with this, I will close today's session on Mandukya. Oh, Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudacchade Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyade. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. There are no questions which are there in the chat box. In case you have any questions, you can put up your hand so that I can call you. So these questions can be on today's talk or it can be in Vedanta in general. So Shanmugam is going to unmute all of you, and then you can raise your questions. There are two people. Nandu, you raised first. So can you ask your question? Then I'll come to Archana.
Hari Om.
Yeah, Hari Om.
Yeah, sir, I think you were projecting one of the shloka from the Mandukya Upanishad, which was stating like Paschatata or Dakshina.
Yes. Yes.
So when we recite, just for like my understanding, and we recite like Ganpati Atharva Shiksha, and there we recite like Paschatata, Purastata.
Correct. It is the same. It is the same. Exactly the same.
Yeah, it's like Brahman only. I mean, we are talking about the Brahman.
Yeah, correct. Ganesha is also a representative of the same Brahman. So it is the same in Ganesha, that mantra, what you're quoting, it is the same principle which is being explained. That Brahman is what is being explained as Ganesha in that particular mantra which you're quoting.
Thank you, sir. And one more thing, we have learned about like the Paravidya and Aparavidya from the Mandukya Upanishad. And I believe something similar conversation is coming in the Chandogya as well. And especially in the Mundak, like Shishya was asking Guru, what is the one thing which you know that everything can be known? So this is coming like everywhere in the similar context, I believe. I mean, to reach up to that level only, higher level.
That's correct. Yes. Correct. It is the same principle which the student Shaunaka asks in the Mandukya Upanishad, knowing what? Knowing which one thing I can know the entire universe. So Mandukya Upanishad, that question itself is very important. Similarly, in Kathopanishad, the 8-year-old boy is going to ask Yamadharmaraja, what is it which exists after people die? Beyond death, what is there? Is there something or is there nothing? When people die, some people say there is something. Some people say there is nothing. So in Kathopanishad, we are going to analyze that. Next Saturday, we're going to start the class of Kathopanishad. So the questions are extremely important. Whenever you study your Upanishad, write down the questions and keep it separately because the questions are brilliant questions. So what the answer to your thing is, all the Upanishads, they are conveying and they want to convey the same message of Brahman, of that Sakshi, of that pure essence which is there in this whole creation, which we call it as God in religious terms. We call it as Brahman in Vedanta. We call it as maybe Allah, maybe Jesus. It boils to the same principle. So I'm glad that you are able to connect the Paraprakriti, Aparaprakriti in the 7th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Paraprakriti, Aparaprakriti, which is the source for the Gita, which is the Mandukya Upanishad. And same thing is being discussed in the Mandukya also, that what is the nature of creation? What is the nature of ultimate reality? Good. Nandu, very nice. I'm glad that your question, your interest and your grasp of so many texts. Good.
Thank you.
Yeah, Archana, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, Nandu.
One more thing, one point, just one to like para, apara we have seen, and I believe like there are like several words like our scriptures. In para concept is apara, chaitan concept is chaitan, like jnana is ajnana. So that a word or maybe one word in English. So all our like sadhana just to remove that. So avidya, so you will get the vidya out of like chaitan, remove that so you will get the chaitan, something like that. Is that correct?
Correct. See, the Upanishads are using words to reveal the higher truth. So, para apara, that means apara is a lower reality. Para prakriti is the higher reality. That is in Mandukya Upanishad. In Bhagavad Gita, it says Aksharam Brahma, Aksharam, then it is Uttama Purusha in the 15th chapter. Uttama Purusha refers to the same Brahman concept. In Mandukya, we talk about Ishwara. Ishwara also is, which is the same principle that is discussed in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So when you study all these scriptures, in your mind, you have to bring those other lessons you have learned. Then what will happen? You will get a fine intellect. You will get a sharper intellect. When somebody tells you you are that pure consciousness, it will strike you, and that's all. You see, that is the beauty of studying these texts, because they are all helping you. It is a purely a personal study. You will know that you are immortal. See, that is what is the ultimate success of Moksha Shastra. Moksha tells you, live the life. Go ahead with your life. Earn what you want. Go through all the experiences. Remember what is your real nature. My real nature is pure Atma, pure consciousness. That is what ultimately we have to hold on to. Okay, Archana, go ahead.
Namaskar, sir. I'm new to the class. So
Yeah, no problem.
I have
okay.
some very fundamental doubts actually.
Yeah.
So one feels some amount of sukha after a deep sleep, right?
Yes.
And that sukha is then tamasic in nature?
No. So sukham is sattvic in nature. Okay. The sukham which you get is a reflection of sattvic sukham. In the Bhagavad Gita also this is said. It is said in Taittiriya Upanishad. In Taittiriya Upanishad it says that the happiness which all of us, that sleep happiness is common to all of us. It is why is it common to all of us? Because there is something common to all of us. What is common to all of us is Atma. Atma is common to you, to me, to Shanta, to Shama, everybody. Now, this Atma gets reflected in the mind, which is passive mind, which is, so the happiness, suppose you say, I was happy during sleep. That means it is the sattvic mind the reflection of Chaitanya in the sattvic mind which you enjoy. So when people say I was happy in sleep, it is that happiness, it is called as reflected happiness. It is not tamasic. Tamasic nature puts you to sleep. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. Tamas will put you to sleep. But what you experience in sleep, that sukham you experience is sattvic.
Okay. And why I don't remember the brief association, pure association with Ishwara during my deep sleep?
Extremely good question. See, that is what is called as ignorance. You see, you have ignorance, I have an ignorance. Today, for example, you say I had a good sleep. That's all. You never say I was with Ishvara. Why do you don't say? Because you don't have why you don't say is because you as a jiva have got mula avidya. Now, this is a term which is used by the Shastra, by the Upanishads. Normal ignorance is about the world. I don't know Russian language. I don't know Sanskrit. These are all avidya. Avidya means ignorance about the world. Mula avidya means my nature is Atma. I don't know that. Now, for example, because I don't know I am the waker, I dream. Because I don't know I am the Atma, I am sleeping to my nature. I'm sleep and I also experience the waking state. The whole waking state is called as ignorance. So, to answer the question, why I don't know I am Ishwara is because you have not exposed your mind to the Upanishads. Suppose you expose your mind to the Upanishad, you study the Upanishad regularly, slowly your mind will accept the fact that I am with God in sleep.
So Mula Avidya can be overcome.
Yes, Mula Vidya can be overcome. That is why the study of Shastra is there. That is why the study of Bhagavad Gita, Upanishads, Brahma Sutra, all this will give you the knowledge of Atma, and not only give you the knowledge, it will also transform your mind to say, I am the Atma.
Because
See, there are
right now it feels a little unreal to accept that I am the Atma.
That's good. See, it is unreal to accept something like this exists. You are very correct. For expressing what everybody in the class today is saying, is there something like this Atma? Is there something? I mean, how is it possible that the whole creation, that Ishvara, which I don't even see, you are telling me I am with that Ishvara? Is it really possible? It is a very genuine question. It is only because your mind has got Mula Avidya. There is a covering. You see, there is a, which is also called as Maya Shakti. See, Maya means it covers the reality and it projects that you are the body mind complex. But it takes time. As you study this avidya about your nature, real nature, go away. And you will say, I now accept whatever the Upanishad says or Bhagavad Gita. It takes time. But a day will come when you will say, yes, every word which the Bhagavad Gita says or Upanishad says, I accept it. Okay? Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Shanta, you have a question?
Namaste, Shekharji. And just to, mention to Archanaji, how I look at it is, when a person dies, we don't take the name of the person, right? We just say the body is cremated.
Correct.
We don't say, XYZ with a name. So
Yeah.
what is that, what we have named is not the body. That is how I look at it as beyond the body. So because as soon as the person dies, we start referring that as body. We don't refer it as, say with name or Ganesha, Ashwini or anybody. I don't know anybody. So that is how I say that when we name a person, we are not naming the body. We are naming something else, and that something else is probably Atma. And that is how I have come to a realization to myself that there's something called Atma. Okay, what it is, I'm still not sure, but I distinguish body
Correct.
and Atma in this way. So I don't know whether it helps you also to distinguish body away from the Atma this way. So that is just as an additional comment on for Archanaji to think about. So coming to my question now. One thing, I want to get myself a bit more better understanding. So when we speak about this rope snake and adhishtanam, so when we are seeing a rope, we are ignorant of the rope, and so we see a snake. But the minute the knowledge of the rope comes, we have come out of that ignorance, which means that we know that the snake is mithya. I just try to say, okay, the snake is mithya, the rope is real. Now, when we start looking at the world, if I have to apply the same principle, right, I do not know the Brahman. So for me, the world is real, like the snake was real at that time. But the minute I know that there is something which exists, the adhishtanam, like how the rope was the adhishtanam for the snake, when I know the Brahman, then just like the snake was Mithya, the world becomes Mithya. Is that the correct way of logically
That's
thinking?
right. Yes. But this has to be a very strong conviction in your intellect, and it should be
Yeah, this
made.
is now logical. There is no
Correct.
conviction as yet in my mind.
Yeah.
I'm
So
on the
this
way.
is just pure logic.
Yeah.
You're taking the rope example, snake example, and you're saying Brahman example, world example. What you have understood is good. It is clear.
Now my
Now, your
question
mind
now,
has to
yeah,
churn this thought process on these two examples of the rope snake, Brahman, world.
yeah,
This, your mind has to do some churning. That is what is called as mananam.
Mananam.
Once you do
Yeah.
this mananam, then what happens is you develop a conviction in yourself that I am that pure consciousness and the world is mithya. Till that time, the conviction, which is called as nididhyasana, till that happens, you should continue the study and then you will find slowly that conviction will come.
Mm.
It is a slow process.
Yeah.
See, it is very slow process because the intellect understands only one language, and that is the language of reasoning.
Mm.
That reasoning to take place in your intellect, it takes time.
Mm.
And Mandukya Upanishad is full of reasoning. You will be amazed at the amount of reasoning, amount of depth which Shankaracharya gives in Mandukya Upanishad. Go through this process of reasoning, and you will see slowly your intellect is trying to hold on to that Atma. See, initially we only get the knowledge of Atma and Atma. We understand this rope snake example is exactly the example of the Mithya world.
Mm.
Rope snake is Mithya, the world is Mithya. But how do I understand that the world is Mithya when I see the world as Satyam today? What happens? How does that conversion happen? It is a very big
Yeah,
exercise.
that is when you are not looking at yourself as you. I mean, you that
Your
the,
consciousness.
yeah. So my question now is, we believe in Advaitam. So Brahman is one. It's the Maya Shakti which gives you the body, right? And this body is given to you based on your prarabdha karmas. So when the adhishtanam is one, why do different bodies with the Maya Shakti, which is Mithya, can give you different experiences of a same thing? So, for example, I could like a curry, but a white person may not like a curry. So, my question is then, when we are both are Mithya, we are both come from this Maya Shakti in a body, material form, then why is the adhishtanam changing? Or why is that experience changing? Because the experience is given by the pure consciousness. Because without pure consciousness, we cannot get the experience.
Okay. Pure consciousness is only an illuminator.
Hmm.
What gives you the experiences is your mind. Now,
Hmm.
your dreams are different than the dreams of another person.
Hmm.
Why do the dreams differ? Because the minds are different. The subtle body and the causal body, the punya papam, and the mind, the subtle body are different. So your experiences of sukham or dukkham is dependent on your causal body and your subtle body. Don't get
Okay.
confused between the body and the illuminator. What we are saying is the illuminator is common to all of us.
Hmm.
Atma, the sunlight, illumines the entire universe, entire
Hmm.
the earth. The transactions are happening on the earth. Similarly, transactions are happening in the mind of a person. Now, these transactions, why does these transactions happen to you, but those transactions are not happening to me? That is explained by prarabdha karma. It is not explained by the illuminator. Illuminator is Atma, which is the reflected consciousness in the mind. The role of the illuminator is the reflected consciousness which illuminates your mind. That means your dream state is being experienced by that because of that Atma, which is the supreme, which is the Purusha. Ultimate, which you call it as Sakshi, Brahman, Atman, all that is the same name. The differences are because of the mind and the karmas. Do you see the difference now?
So it is, yes, but it is, so that reminds me of that wonderful slide of yours in the Bhagavad Gita lectures about, the sun shining in all the pots, where the
Exactly.
pots, the pots have got different state of water,
Yes.
or, whether it is clean, muddy, or whether
Correct.
it is agitated. So, but the sun shining is the same. So that is Advaitam, where sun is shining is the same, but the reflection is different. So our experiences are different based on our mind. Is that what you said? I mean,
Correct. Experiences depend on your
on the mind. Yeah. And
and
that is dependent on prarabdha karma. Yeah.
Correct. And the
Okay,
prarabdha.
yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Shekhar, I just want to add like what Shantiji is asking. See, the experiencer, what here we are talking about is Chidabhasa actually. That is a reflection.
Yes.
So the Adhishtanam is the one only. But the Chidabhasa, Pratibhimba is the one which is different on the different pots. So that is why the white person will have a different experience. We have a different experience. That is because of whatever the sentiency is happening to the Jivatma is because of the reflection, the Chidabhasa. So that is the basic thing to answer your specific question, what you are saying, why this experience is different. And I also just want to just add one very important feature, like what Shekharji is saying, Sat, Asat and Mithya and all that, the rope snake example and all. So the important aspect, like after going through so many things, what my personal realize, three aspects we need to understand. One is grahana, and another is agrahana, third is anyata grahana. So what it means? Grahana is when you see the rope and snake, when you see that as a rope only, like a jnani, when an enlightened person sees what is real, that is what is grahana. So the vidya is there. You accept the truth. You see the truth based on the shastras and all that. Agrahana is you do not see like what is happening in the sleep state actually because of the avidya. We are not able to get it. That is whatever you call it, asat or anything. But the most important factor is what is happening in the mithya, waking state, is anyata grahana. So the rope we are projecting as something different actually. It can be snake or anything at all. This anyata grahana is the one which is causing this avidya. So as long as we remove that by virtue of these shastras and all that, so this projection will continue to happen actually. So Anita Grahana, so we are not seeing what is real because of lack of, the avidya, mula avidya, whatever is that actually. So that is what we can get over by this Shastra. The simple thing is like a person who knows swimming and who doesn't know swimming, both when they enter into the water, that makes a difference actually. So that is where that this Shastra knowledge is required to remove this avidya. So then only that Anita Grahana can be real. So that gives a difference between the Mithya and Asat.
Thank you, Venkatesh. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Venkatesh.
Yeah, thank you. So I'll next come to Ramesh. Ramesh, you have a question?
Yes, Namaste, Shekharji. I think Shyama raised her hand before me. So if
It doesn't matter.
probably
She will let
okay.
you ask the question. She has got a very deep question, so I'm reserving that
Oh,
for the last.
okay. I'll have a maybe shorter question for you. I looked at, understood that Sankhya represents Dvaitam from whatever you
Yes.
said today. So I'm trying to understand, is this Dvaitam in sync with the Dvaitam of Madhvacharya, or is this something different? I'm just trying to
No,
understand, is that
it
or
is
this the same thing?
all Dvaitam principles, whether it is Madhvacharya, all of them, they have the same problem of looking at the world as a reality and also creator as the reality. That is what is the Dvaitam principle. All the schools, whether it is Sankhya, Yoga, Madhavacharya, Visishtadvaitam, Ramanujacharya, all of them, in especially when it comes to the fourth chapter of
Oh,
the
oh,
Mandukya Upanishad, Shankaracharya groups all of them as Dvaitins. So the Dvaitins, they all have got this problem of God is separate, I am separate. That is the fundamental problem. Purusha is separate, Prakriti is separate. And both of them are having the same, are in the same reality. That is another problem of all the schools. Now, what Advaitin says is, through the Dvaitam, you can never get moksha. You have to postpone your moksha for the future. That means I will meet God in Vaikuntha, then I will still be with him, I will serve him, and so on. But you will still get moksha through Dvaita, which Shankaracharya doesn't accept. He says that the only thing which gives moksha is Advaita. In Advaitam, the main thing of Advaitam is there is a higher reality and there is a lower reality, para and apara. All the Dvaitam, we put it into apara, the lower order of reality. There can be any amount of Dvaitam, any amount of plurality of jivas can be there in the lower order of reality. In the for example, compared to the waker, the lower order of reality is the dream.
oh.
But waker is only one. Dream world, there is an experience of plurality, manyness.
Oh.
Similarly, in the waking state also, there is a higher order. Like we have for the dream, we have the higher order of waker. For the waker, there is a higher order. This is only in Advaita. Shankaracharya brings this out in the Mandukya Upanishad. He says in all other schools, they are having this problem because they all look at it as Dvaitam because there is God and me, there is world and me, there is a creator and the God and the creator and the creator created. So that is a problem in schools, except when you come to Advaita, who says there is a higher order, like the baker trimmer, there is a Atma and a baker. In the seventh mantra, this is what the Upanishad will teach us. After the another three more Kārikās are there. After this, the Upanishad is going to say the waking state negated, dream state negated. It is not you. Sleep state negated. That is also not you. You are Turiya Atma. That Turiya Atma is higher order of reality. Have I answered your question about Dvaitam?
Yeah, there is the one additional question to that. Because we bracketed into two categories. In fact, three. Let's remove the Atsat for now. We bracketed it to one was related to Sankhya, another to Vedantin. So my question is, Vedantin is generally those who believe in the Vedas. So in that case, even Madhvacharya or Visishtadvaita, whichever Dvaitam, Advaita, all these are part of the same. So why are we distinguishing it as Sankhya and Vedantin here?
Yeah,
Just trying to understand.
the
Yeah.
reason is all of them. You see, there are two broad categories. One is Astitvavadas and Nastitvavadas.
Right.
That means Astitvavadas means all those who believe in the Veda.
Vedas.
You know, the Sankhya, Yoga, Nyaya, Vaiseshika, Purva Mimamsa, then all the schools, they believe in the Veda. Now, they all study the Veda, but they draw different conclusions from the Veda. That is the problem. The conclusion which they derive is different. When you study Sankhya, their conclusion is Dvaitam, and they say that Purusha and Prakriti are independently existing. They are not dependent on each other. Similarly, the other schools, Visishta Advaita, Madhyamika, all the schools, they all talk about independently existing principles. Only Advaitam says that there is only one principle on which the whole universe is held. And in Brahma Sutra, you are a perfect candidate for study of Brahma Sutra. In Brahma Sutra, the first 4 sutras are very important. When you study the first 4 sutras of Brahma Sutra, you have notes of mine in the website. Independent study may not help so much, but I'm sure I will take Brahma Sutra, these 4 sutras, which are very, very important. Your doubts about all the different schools of thought, why do they differ from Vedanta and why have they made that mistake? You will learn when in the Brahma Sutra. Samanvaya Sutra, there is where the Shankaracharya and Vyasacharya, they say that let me try to understand all the schools of thought and see where does Vedanta stand in front of those schools.
Okay.
And then,
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
I'm sure you got the message.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, Shama, go ahead. You waited patiently.
Yeah, no. This is such a brilliant class. I mean, increasingly now you're removing all questions. So I'm thinking, what will I ask after 6 months? I don't know. But right now, so you've completely sold Advaita Vedanta. There is no doubt. And through Mandukya Upanishads, the study of Mandukya Upanishads, I also feel very happy to assert that no longer am I feeling so distracted. Otherwise, I would have been doing Jungian psychology instead of attending your class. So my thermostat...
Thank Bharat. Bharat is one who helped you on that, not me.
Yeah, so my thermostat is very nicely adjusted. And I've begun to believe that if you're going towards one goal, you can't be deviating left, right, and center and still expect to go ahead in a straight line, isn't it? If you know where your goal is, you might as well walk in a straight line, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. Yes.
Yeah, so Mandukya Upanishad is definitely helping me to not go here there. There's just one question which I am hoping that is, the more we are into this Sakshi Chaitanyam, the more we can do through a practice of meditation, through engaging in all the swadhyaya and everything, through our spiritual practice, the consciousness or Sakshi Chaitanyam will go on increasing, isn't it?
Yeah, your awareness of this will keep increasing. Your conviction will increase about the same thing which existed. It is always there. Only thing is that, you see, when you first did the Bhagavad Gita, you didn't know it.
Yeah.
In a small way, you got some glimpse of some God. You learned Bhagavad Gita. Just look at yourself. You learned, say, 5 years ago, some Gita, now your conviction of the same has grown. So that is exactly what will happen as you study. As you study, you will know that the riverbed is the ultimate essence of this river flow. The river flow is nothing but the thoughts in your mind. Whenever there is a thought, it gives you it makes you think that that your thoughts are real. See,
Yeah.
let me explain to you this example. You as the body, the world as a body, there is no interaction. Interaction happens only in the mind.
Correct. Yeah.
Shankaracharya explains very beautifully in the Mandukya. As you study more and more, the mind, the nature of the mind will come. Now, whenever the mind is projecting something about the world, you think that it is real. Suppose you think about your son who is away from you, who's having his own life, and so on. What are you doing? You are projecting the son, or you're projecting your mother, your daughter, your whatever it is, or your husband. You're projecting it in your mind. Now,
correct.
Whether it is real or unreal, you will know only when you know the consciousness, the light behind it, which is illuminating these thoughts.
Absolutely.
There is otherwise you are just waking up in the morning. Suppose, for example, you wake up in the morning and you have no thoughts at all throughout the day, and you are experiencing the world. That is what is that? It is just your Ishwara Srishti. You are just admiring. Suppose you didn't have any thought. What happens is whenever your thoughts come, you say, "Oh, this is," it gives you the reality of it makes the world which you're perceiving as real. So it is this thought, which makes you feel that the world I'm experiencing is real. But what Shankaracharya says is those thoughts are Mithya thoughts. They are coming because of prarabdha karma. That sanchita karma, which is erupting in your mind, is coming as prarabdham today, and let it pass. But you don't focus on your thoughts and the world. Focus on the light which is illuminating. I am the Sakshi, the light which is illuminating all my thoughts. Keep that as your fulcrum, and then you are liberated.
Your riverbed illustration is absolutely wonderful, because it doesn't matter what's happening in the water. In fact, you can see all the water and all that is happening in there in your mind lake. So that's beautiful.
This riverbed example is not my example. It is taken from Chinmayananda's book. It is his example. And
somebody has to illustrate nicely. So I have to give you the credit. Yes. The question I want to know is as we advance in the Satchidanand awareness status, is it possible that our focus and intentionality in what we do in day-to-day work, karmas, does it improve? That's the question. That's the only question actually I had.
Looking at your own life experiences in the last 3 years, I can tell you for sure it has improved. You are a totally transformed person today than what I knew as Shama 3 years ago, 4 years ago when you came. You're totally different. You see, your thinking process has changed. Your vision is changing. You see, that is the beauty. And believe me or not, Mandukya Upanishad, just let the words of the Mandukya Upanishad hit your mind. It will change you. I give you a guarantee. Whoever is listening, whether you're listening, in the class, or whether you're listening through the YouTube sometime or the other, you will change.
And your meditation, to combine it with your meditation, the meditations which you do, because they are aligned to Mandukya Upanishad. Like today's one, verse 16, was completely aligned to your talk, isn't it?
Absolutely aligned. I'm saying that, see how Bhagavad Gita is saying what is said in the Upanishad.
Yeah, beautiful. Yeah, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Shama. Yeah, Bharat, you want to say something?
Yes, I first of all, I just wanted to say that there's nothing wrong with learning Jungian psychology. I think it's great, as with any psychology. So whatever you want to do, if you're enjoying it, carry on, do it.
No, I will do it only in my spare time to entertain me, not for anything else. Definitely
I,
not.
I study many other subjects as well, and that's purely for entertainment. Vedanta is serious stuff. The other thing,
Yeah,
Shakuchi, I just wanted to say, well done on a fantastic lecture.
yeah.
I'm not joking, but I think as we get closer to Mantra 7, perhaps you should be prepared to have longer Q&A sessions, maybe.
Yeah, correct. No, the seventh mantra is going to be a mind-boggling mantra, because it is something which is out of the world, because it reveals the truth. The beauty is it reveals the truth, and whatever we are preparing now is a very beautiful way of preparing ourselves for the seventh mantra. See, that's why Gaudapada Acharya's Kārikās are so beautiful. And Shankaracharya's explanation of the Kārikās are really phenomenal. And
The other the
as
other
you
thing I
said,
just
yeah,
Yeah, the other thing I just wanted to quickly add, so we can wrap up, is that when I first started learning Mandukya Kārikās, I, I I I I could not understand anything at all. So I think I was starting much way back, and it's only when you know Shravana, Manana, and Nididhyasana, if you don't understand, repeat. And it's only by repeating, it's like watching studying any subject. If you don't understand a textbook or don't understand what the subject's about, there's all you can do is to repeat, and slowly but surely things start to fall into place. But here in Mandukya Upanishad, the methodology of Advaita is Adhyaropa Apavada, and everything, all the logic is all about negation. It's pointing something out, and and if you notice all the logic that that Gaudapada and Shankaracharya uses, it's all a very subtle form of negation, leaving what? Duryatma. It's I don't know, Shakaji, if you would agree with that or not.
no, I agree. What you're saying is absolutely right. See, the first six mantras are talking, they're all Adhyaropa. Adhyaropa means what? They are telling you that your experiences, with reference to your experiences, they are all superimpositions on the Atma. So, for waking state, dream state, the sleep state, gross body, subtle body, the causal body, the uh, the universe, all that is Adhyaropa. It's a brilliant methodology to reveal the truth. So, in this process, we are trying to say, oh, this is the world which I'm experiencing, waking state, dream state, sleep state. Okay. But where is all this happening? It is all happening in Atma. Now, the seventh mantra is the Apavada, is the process of negating all this. It will negate all this Adhyaropa and says that you drop all this and realize you are Brahman. That's all. You are, and it is easy. You see, for example, once you have prepared through these Kārikās, I tell you, there is nothing which is so clear cut as this Mandukya Upanishad. You can study many Upanishads, but directly telling you that you are that. Yesterday, for example, in Taittiriya Upanishad, Shanta came out and said, ask me this question. Oh, is this what is Brahman? That is exactly what each one of you will discover. It is an internal process. It is your own intellect will tell you, oh, this is what is Mandukya telling me. And once that happens, you are clear. Your ignorance is gone forever. Then what will happen is, anytime you read any mantra, anywhere, any text, you will say, I know. what this mantra is talking, because you have realized the self. So Bharat, you're right. Thank you.
It is an understanding. When you're studying mathematics, all the different formulas and derivations, at some point something clicks, and you go, I understand how this formula is derived. Same with Advaita. The understanding is jnanam.
Correct. Yes. It happens in all the fields. The moment you have understood something, and it happens in the field of medicine, it happens in the field of art, it happens in the field of poetry, it happens in all scientific fields. Everywhere, the moment you understand something, the intellect is satisfied. After that, the intellect has no more questions on that particular area. So similarly, in this area of Atma also, your own intellect will say, I have understood what Mandukya Upanishad wants to say, what Gaudapada Acharya wants to say, what Shankaracharya wants to say. It is 100% true. Your own intellect will say it, because there is a process of revelation. See, go through the process. Let's see. Thank you, Bharat. It was very nice.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I think there are no more questions. For those of you who are interested in Katha Upanishad, I will be sending you some link. You can just fill it up, because I'm forming a new team, a new WhatsApp group for Katha Upanishad. Thank you. And all of you
Thank you,
have a
Shakti.
great day.
Very, very nice. Thank you.
Hari
Thank you.
Om. Yeah.
Hari Om.
Hari
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 Om,
Om.
Shekhar
Thank
ji.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Namaste.
Hari Om. Hari Om.
Namaste.
Thank you.